You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 299. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
I'm Jeff Barnhart, and you're not. That's an old one.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah.
Older.
Yeah.
Before my lifetime, so yes.
Okay.
Today is our a very special episode. We're going to be talking about Will Eisner's Spirit. 2017 marks Will Eisner's centennial. He would be 100 years old this year. Before we get into the stories we're going to talk about today, I want to remind listeners about a contest we're running. If you're listening to this the day or so after it's dropped, it's your very last chance to enter our contest. Please leave us an iTunes review and drop us an email at comic.reflections@gmail.com to be entered to win a fat stack of comic books, the 2 Wolverine motion comic DVDs, and some comic book shop promotional posters. It'll be great. You'll love it. But you've got to hurry.
What can you lose?
Right. So, yes, we'll begin with... I want to talk about a bit. The Spirit is a very unique creature in the comics medium. Not just the character, but the book is. Eisner was approached to create a comic book section to go in Sunday newspapers. So, like a comic book that would go along with the Sunday paper, which I thought is great. It kind of like it's the bridge between the comic strip and the comic book. And we're going to read all the stories today, of course, are reprints from those various sections. 16-page comic that would have a 7 or 8 page Spirit story and then 2 backups, one with Lady Luck and also with Mr. Mystic, which by and large those stories languish in obscurity. Although,
probably for good reason.
Maybe. I mean, they're produced by the Eisner shop, and they're probably fine. I have a collection of Lady Luck stories, but I haven't had a chance to dive into them yet. So, but what can be really said about the Spirit or Eisner that hasn't been said is he's monumentally influential in the comics medium, and I think instrumental in elevating it to a respected literary art, which is important. So why don't we just get into talking about these stories? The Spirit the Spirit section ran in papers starting from June 2nd, 1940, and ran until October 5th, 1952. So almost 12 years.
Yeah.
And Eisner did the Spirit for about a year. Did the Spirit section for about a year and a half before he got drafted into the Army in late 1940, early 1942, and he had trusted ghosts work on the strip in his absence until he came back to the strip in 1945. But he also did get some scripts out in the meantime. But yes, we'll get into some of that minutia as we go into these stories. But the first on the docket is Wanted for Murder, written by Manly Wade Wellman and penciled by Lou Fine. Manly Wade Wellman, who wrote several of the stories we're going to talk about today, was a very prolific writer in both comics and also in pulps and novels across many genres. He's kind of forgotten today, but he wrote a lot of stuff. He was significant. Lou Fine, of course, was one of the great comic book artists of the Golden Age. He the main body of his comics work was at Quality Comics, where he worked on characters such as Doll Man, The Flame, The Ray, Black Condor, and Uncle Sam. So, like all of these, that was a great publishing house for a lot of superheroes that later got folded into DC Comics. But terrific work, and we were really treated with a lot of Lou Fine's good drawing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but yeah, let's get into this story. I want to say it really is a testament to the concept of the spirit and this cast of characters that it works so well for Eisner to hand it off to people that he trusted, and the quote unquote spirit of the strip is stays true.
Yeah, it's hard to tell who. If I didn't know somebody else wrote this, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Okay. So, wanted for murder.
Yes.
One
more note, and I'm sorry, I forgot. This story originally appeared in the Spirit section, dated April 11th, 1943.
Okay. Grace Gilbert of the Secret Service comes to visit Commissioner Dolan, and then the spirit is right there, and which is interesting. Batman didn't live with Commissioner Gordon, or something,
Right.
but he pops in. He's constantly. They're all together. Very, it seems. And so she wants to talk to Spirit alone, and then she gets assassinated with a knife in the back, and they're in a tall building, so it looks like the spirit has killed her.
Yeah.
And
Of course he didn't.
Of course, and
It's a frame up, see?
and Dolan, oh, you killed her, and I said, for crying out loud, how long you've known the spirit? Don't you think that he would have never killed somebody in front of witnesses? It's
Right.
just, he didn't kill him in front of witnesses, but he was going inside a room with the murder victim, and she dies instantly. So he's not stupid. That'd be a bad way to commit murder and try to get away with it.
Right.
So the spirit says, well, I better solve this mystery, and pushes Dolan around. He got one clue, something about Bambro 1804. So the spirit is got his look it up, and he says, "Oh,
In the phone book, right?
in the phone," which is so easy.
Yeah.
And there's a Bambro on Suicide Parkway. It's right next to Genocide Cul-de-sac.
I love it. We get a little bit of detective work, but it's not too heavy because this is a 7 or 8 page story.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of the weakness of this is that there's not much depth to the storyline like this, but it's absolutely gorgeous. So who cares?
Right. I think one thing we'll be able to contrast, and we'll look at some of these earlier stories in the first half of this show, and then we'll look at some of the post-war stuff in the latter half of this program. And there is a definitely growth in depth and concept, and Eisner is able to pack a lot of incredible stuff in 7 or 8 pages.
Yeah. There's some really beautiful scenes in here.
Oh yeah.
So we go to 22 Suicide Park, which is hilarious. We meet Bambro and his scumbag assistant, who comes back. Hey, I killed the dame, and I framed the spirit for killing, but the spirit escaped. So Bambro's mad.
Bambro has like a curly Q mustache, and he looks like a cross between like Colonel Sanders or like a Texas oil man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I don't know who his assistant looks like.
He looks like the prankster from Superman with really bizarre hair.
Oh, okay. So, the spirit comes by, and Bambro, he is talking to. Okay, the spirit is interrogating his minion, and Bambro just takes a chair and knocks the spirit over the head. The spirit is knocked out. And that's another thing about the spirit. He gets knocked in the head and shot, and more than any other character I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trope of superheroes is they manage to just get winged, or they just dodge bullets or things like that. The spirit really gets hurt.
Yeah, a lot. So, his minion show, wow, I got this flying knife contraption which shoots knives out of a gun.
A knife gun, which, by the way, I think this is borrowed from Doc Savage. Doc Savage didn't have a knife gun, but I was reading a comic that was adapting an old Doc Savage pulp story, and a villain had a knife gun. And that can't be a coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
there's just such a very incestuous period in, disposable literature, for
Mm-hmm.
lack of a better term. Why not use a thing like that? I'm sure it was using cliffhanger serials too
Mm-hmm.
once they came along.
Exactly.
Well, like I said, this is
yeah.
this is 1943. They exist. They're
Yeah.
happening. Yeah,
There's many silent serials.
yeah. I forget that
Perils of Pauline, I think, is the
right.
most famous.
I forgot the serials existed even in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the serials are definitely happening at this point.
Yeah. So Bambro gets the idea because there's a $10,000 reward for the spirit to turn the spirit in, which I think is a stupid idea.
Yes.
But he does it anyway. He brings Dolan back, and
Brings
Ebony,
Nolan back.
Hmm?
Brings Nolan.
Dolan back to where the spirit is.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
And then Ebony grabs onto the car and holds on for dear life to follow where they're going.
Do we want to talk about Ebony for a minute?
Yeah.
Now I know that. Okay, he's a creation of his time,
Mm-hmm.
and his caricatured speech and appearance are unfortunate.
Yes.
However, he is a character who is loyal,
Mm-hmm.
helpful,
Yeah. Fairly
and
clever. a lot
very
of times.
clever, and always trustworthy. And you'll notice he's not talked down to or played for laughs or played as a buffoon by any of the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important. He's treated respectfully like he's a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he looks like a gremlin, which
Yeah.
is bad. But like,
Let's see.
even later in the series, he goes off to college,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's
Which is unusual for any African American at that time.
yeah,
So
not unheard of, but uncommon.
yes.
And I think it's, the style of humor of the time was to draw people of color in caricatured,
Mm-hmm.
stereotyped fashion. And that is a drawback of this. Of an otherwise really great character
Mm-hmm.
that has many, many more positives than his surface level negatives.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And I love Ebony.
yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, I'd be friends with him. He's
Yeah,
cool.
well, and the Spirit would be a far less interesting strip a lot of times without him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are plenty of stories where he's not in them,
Yeah.
but as a supporting character, he's terrific.
I find it a little bit embarrassing, but of all the sidekicks, he's one of the least objectionable or irritating sidekicks. Usually, I don't like sidekicks,
Sure.
and Ebony is better than most.
Yes.
And,
Back to our story.
Yeah. Okay, so the spirit wakes up, as he usually does, and the minion explains what happened. So, the minion has started a fire because during wartime, there's not much oil, so people are using wood again.
Oh.
So, so the spirit boots the Bambro's bootlicker in the butt and knocks him out. And then he uses the flame to loosen himself from the chair.
Yeah.
Man, he gets tied up a lot too.
Yeah.
Worse than Wonder Woman.
Well, I don't know if it's that much. But, again, the Spirit, it's kind of like, it'll get tied up in most stories. Wonder Woman, there's like bondage on nearly every page
Yeah.
in the Golden Age. So,
Okay, so Spirit goes looking around. Oh, here's a coin counterfeiting operation. And so Spirit uses his fist and knocks him out. Pretty cool, too.
Yeah.
And Dolan comes up with Bambro, and the Spirit tells what's going on. And Bambro says, well, yeah, but the Spirit killed the Secret Service person.
was that the lady in the beginning of the story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then we forgot about the knife gun, and so...
Yeah, so here comes the guy with the knife gun. He wakes up, and he's about to shoot the Spirit. And Ebony hits him with a slingshot and knocks him out. And some more fisticuffs. And this impact,
The Spirit tackles a guy and knocks him into a wall.
And there's this cool impact.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
Lou Fine's terrific.
Mm-hmm.
We're really getting treated by some of his stuff here today. And I love how Ebony is part of like the last bit of the conflict. He gets into the mix.
Yeah, and he sits down with supper with everybody. What they were doing, the 1804 silver dollars, which were used. Most of those were used to pay France for the Louisiana Purchase.
Right, and this guy was counterfeiting them, and he was going to sell. I make them out of real silver,
Mm-hmm.
but sell them at an exorbitant price to collectors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, not a bad little story. Before Golden Age, I mean, kind of moved a little bit too fast. It could have been stretched out longer.
Sure.
But that's still cool.
Yeah. I appreciate the very compressed storytelling of the Golden and Silver Ages, considering how decompressed comic book storytelling is today.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. The Bronze Age is wonderful because it's a kind of a nice bridge between the two.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do tighter plotting and put more into a comic, folks. But let's talk about our next story. This is called Tony Zacco, Public Enemy Number 1. This was also written by Manly Wade Wellman, penciled again by Lou Fine, and this came from the Spirit section dated May 23rd, 1943.
Yeah. So cool. The titles of the Spirit are some of the coolest things ever.
Oh yeah, the splash panels, and especially again in the post-war years when Eisner came back, even better. He took them to soaring heights of creativity, and we'll talk about those later in our show.
Here is a letter to the memo to the German High Command from Tony Zacco, and he's saying, "Well, I killed a bunch of guys in the States. Now I'm coming after you." And better make a date to see your Undertaker soon. He looks like a Dick Tracy villain, but
Yeah,
oh well.
that may be an influence.
Mm-hmm. And so we see that Tony Zacco, we're looking with Dolan's perspective, and we see his fingerprints, and he's believed to be somewhere in censored with the AEF, American Expeditionary Force. So Dolan sends Spirit to go grab him and bring him back, which, they have MPs. Why?
Yeah, but if the Spirit doesn't go,
they don't have a comic book.
well, yeah, and also, wasn't this chasing down Tony Zacco? Wasn't that a case the Spirit was working on previously, and then he joined the army to get away?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense for him to go.
Yeah,
at least comic book sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
The Spirit looks really funny. He goes into the army, and it's really funny to see him wearing a helmet because it looks like a derby hat on him in some panels. And he kind of wears it that way. He kind of, when he lifts it off his head or whatever, I don't know, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, and you see some American soldiers in shorts. That didn't happen. So
okay.
So he
not
goes
even in the Africa Corps. Like when they're.
Oh, the Africa Corps wore shorts, and
I know those
British
were the Germans,
but no, they didn't.
Okay.
So just not done in the American Army.
Okay.
So the colonel says, "Well, he might be in my group, but you're gonna have a hell of a time finding out who it is." So the Spirit goes out and literally trips over him.
Yeah, I love that.
And
because Zacco has changed his name, obviously.
Yeah, Zaccarelli or something like that. So so they start arguing, saying, "I'm going to take you in." So no, I'm not. Zacco said, "Listen, I'm trying to fight for my country and make up for everything I've done, and Spirit ain't having it." So he just doesn't believe him. So Zacco smacks the crap out of him.
Yeah, hits him in the chin with the butt of a rifle.
Yeah,
that's a great panel.
Yeah, it is. Another great impact then.
Yeah.
So Tony Zacco runs, and then the colonel sees him. "Hey, you got to go up to the front and take this machine gun nest and River W." And so, okay. So he goes out there, and he has a squad, and the squad is killed by a German machine gun. So Zacco's kind of angry because the squad got killed. So he sees. His name is Zaccarelli, yeah.
Yeah.
He sees the Spirit, so let's go fight him. So, I missed the part where the colonel said something, but yeah, who cares? Okay. So, of course, they have no trouble beating up Nazis.
Yeah, I love the Spirit getting into the mix there.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Man,
Um,
there's a great panel where the Spirit like smashes a guy's nose, and we get that Lufine impact kind of
yeah,
flourish, and it looks like blood shooting out of his face,
right.
which is I approve.
Indeed. The Spirit makes one Nazi shoot himself,
Oh,
and
jeez.
and uh, and Zacco is shot in the back.
Yeah. Then he gets to have one of those dying speeches
Yeah.
that are so great.
Mm-hmm. So the Spirit says, well, he died a hero, and Dolan's okay with it too. So he lived a criminal, but he died a real American. So
Yeah.
this is during World War II. You
Oh
never
yeah,
know.
not bad. This is a cool story,
Yeah.
and I think it's kind of neat to like DC Comics. They were like having the superheroes on the covers selling war bonds, but they weren't going over there and fighting Nazis.
Yeah.
And I understand why.
Yeah. That's
Because Superman could end the war in a day,
yeah.
and
Oh, in 5 minutes. You
yeah,
know,
and
just beat
these
up Hitler, and
well, right, and it's like these are guys who are really going out and getting killed and struggling, and it kind of it was right to have a lot of the heroes fighting stateside or filling other roles.
Yeah, they were super popular with the soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, or Captain America could go because he didn't have superpowers.
Right.
Not really.
Because all you can do is punch Hitler.
Yeah.
And so
Better than anybody.
yeah.
So the next story we've got, okay, I love this splash panel.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. I want to talk about it in a minute. Let me give the credits. The story is called Dressed to Kill. This was written by Bill Woolfolk, who was another prolific writer in comics and books also, I believe. And his wife, Dorothy, later on went to be she was the editor on the DC Comics romance books for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But all penciled again by Lou Fine. And this story came from the Spirit section dated May 16th, 1943. So the splash panel, we have Ellen Dolan, the Commissioner Dolan's daughter, in a policewoman's uniform. And by the way, this is novel at the time because I don't think there really were policewomen.
There were, but it's rare.
Yeah. Shades of Lady Cop. Remember Lady Cop?
Oh man, that was great.
I love that. It's one of the greatest comics of all time.
Yeah, a wonderful splash panel. She's looking fetching in her outfit.
Yeah, it's great.
She has her cap is tilted, and she's got a cool expression on her face.
Yeah, and I like Ellen Dolan. She's kind of like the Tess Trueheart. She's kind of a mix. She falls right between Tess Trueheart and Golden Age Lois Lane. The intrepid girl reporter Lois Lane, the one that really got into the action. I love the Silver Age Lois, or I love Silver Age, but Lois is a weak point because she's really just kind of like conniving and just trying to get Superman to marry her.
That's what I love. But
I know those stories are great too, but I mean, like,
yeah,
she's kind of like the teeth are kind of removed from the character during that period. I don't think Golden Age Superman stories are very strong, but Lois is a stronger character in that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
we're still at war. So, because there's a man shortage, because the men are going across the sea to fight Nazis and Japanese. So we need people to be cops. So Commissioner Dolan says, hey, we'll make women cops. And
sure,
so,
they can have the Women Army Corps. They can have gals building battleships, as they did here in Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Ellen is the sergeant in charge.
Yeah.
So the Spirit, so I guess he's a gold breaker because he didn't join the service.
No, he's not a gold bricker for not joining the service. Remember, Denny Colt, his secret identity, the world believes him dead.
Yeah.
He couldn't enlist as Denny Colt.
True.
So he's going to carry on his crusade against crime stateside because there's racketeers and saboteurs and fifth columnists and all other kinds of crimes springing up with many of our fellas off to war.
Yeah. But he doesn't like the idea of lady cops, and so he follows Ellen to keep her out of trouble. And she doesn't get into trouble at first. She arrests some guys, and they enjoy being arrested by her.
Right.
And then some other lady cops who look fetching as well.
Yeah.
And say, yay. this is the nicest time I've ever had being pinched. And,
Yeah.
officer, you got the prettiest eyes I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Of course, Ebony is tagging along with the spirit, and that's
Mhm.
great too.
Yeah. So Ellen is walking by and she sees a girl with a wonderful dress on. And so she follows her to find out where she bought the dress.
Oh, brother.
Yeah.
And then when she catches up with him, she turns the table on Ellen and chloroforms her.
Yeah, because she's really a criminal.
Right.
And so she thinks that the cop is following her because of a crime
Mm,
and not to find out what kind of dress she has.
right.
So it's a really nice panel with that happening too, sort of. So she's dragging her Ellen off, and one of her minions is coming in, and then the spirit comes in and he gets his butt kicked again. So,
Yeah.
which Ebony follows on a bicycle. He steals a bicycle and runs after them, and they go into a garage with a radio controlled door, which was, I guess, was a big thing then or something. Oh, not a big, but a new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh, the,
Of course,
the,
Ebony
the impact of
crashes
Ebony
into it.
crashing his bike is great. And again, it's not comedic. He just takes a spill.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah. So Ebony calls the police, and let's see, Spirit's waking up, and Ellen's waking up, and let's see, they're going to kill the spirit and all that because they find out that the bad guys have stolen a tremendous amount of loot from a bank. It's about a 2 stories tall pile of money bags.
sure.
So Spirit uses Ellen as a battering ram to knock the pile of money down and bash one of the guys. So then the Spirit goes and beats the crap out of this other one with his feet. Ellen grabs a gun. She's a crack shot, so she shoots the bonds of the Spirit. And so he can use his fisticuffs, and it's pretty cool. And Ellen just likes to watch Spirit beat the crap out of people.
Well, yeah.
Watch this, my dear. Doesn't the Spirit do these things cleverly?
Yeah, because they are an item, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes it's more overt, and other times it's kind of will they, won't they?
Yeah. So they, the bad guys surrender. And,
I love there's a panel of the Spirit punching a guy through a door.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. So, Commissioner Dolan sends Ellen to interrogate the woman some more, and they're going to a room, and then Dolan's real proud of his daughter, giving her the 3rd degree, and they
Yeah.
come in, and Ellen is going to offer her immunity, or at least a lesser sentence. She tells where she got the dress from.
So, I mean, this is sexist,
Yeah.
but it's kind of played off in a cute way.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of harmless.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty fun story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, on to the next one. We
Yeah.
just kind of go at a fairly rapid clip with
Indeed.
these. This one's called A Clock Stops. Written again by Manly Wade Wellman. Art again by Lou Fine. And this one is from the Spirit section, cover dated April 18th, 1943.
Yeah. It's a familiar ballad about a grandfather clock stopping and the grandfather dying at that instant. And so it's a familiar ballad, but I never heard of it.
Maybe that's why they're called grandfather clocks?
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
know.
there must be a thing about it that's lost to...
I like grandfather clocks. I wouldn't want to have one in my home because they're loud. So,
Oh, and they're huge.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're a neat thing.
yeah. I mean, if I lived a half an acre away in my house, a stately Barnhart manor, that'd be okay. But, yeah. Old man Olson was a little watchmaker, and he died. He doesn't have a friend in the world.
Wow.
So they got to go see what happened. They feel sorry for him. They're going to give him a decent funeral.
I wonder what an indecent funeral would be like.
I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a joke there, but
hmm Yeah. So they're looking to see what happened, and I think it's Ebony who smells almonds, which is a sign of prussic acid, which is a poison.
Or strychnine.
Is it strychnine? Maybe that's
It's either
yeah.
strychnine or cyanide, I thought.
Now they mentioned prussic acid, which I
But
think. So they notice that the clock is stopped, and because I think Olson round the clock every at midnight. So the clock is stopped at midnight, so that's when he died.
okay.
Yeah, and so there's a guy comes up and he says, "Oh, I gotta pick up this clock," which and they said, "Well, after midnight for crying out loud." So
Yeah, that's weird.
yeah, the spirit says, "Hey, let him have the clock, and we'll follow him." So he puts Ebony in there because Ebony is really small.
Yeah, he's a kid. Remember,
Hmm.
he's young.
Yeah.
And
So he brings it. The delivery guy brings the clock up there.
with Ebony inside.
Yeah, and the this old geezer opens the clock up, and Ebony pinches his nose, and the old guy's going to kill him for it. Um, Ebony screams for spirit, and here comes the spirit. He starts kicking some butt, and it turns out that this old guy worked for Olson, and Olson treated him badly. He wanted the clock. Um, Olson would never sell it to him, so he killed him to get the clock, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know. So, on to our
Okay.
next story. This is called The Eyes Have It, written again by Manly Wade Wellman, penciled again by Lou Fine. And this is from the Spirit section from April 4th, 1943. Great splash panel.
Yes.
This is cool.
Creepy eyes looking at the spirit. Yeah. Oh, and I like the font too.
Yeah, and the
Wow.
smoke kind of around him.
Mhm.
It's weird. This story is odd, more sinister, I feel.
Yeah. And we have a supervillain.
Kind of.
Yeah. I mean, no one has this hypnotic power.
Right.
But,
Let's get it.
okay. All right. So, K.O. Harrigan is fighting Sailor Brown and beating the crap out of him. Someone said, "Loiter him, K.O." And then all suddenly, Evil Eye Manders comes up and hypnotizes KO and so he stops fighting. Sailor gets up and wins the game.
And so, Evil Eye has got a racket going where he fixes matches with his hypnotic ability, and he's turning a profit on it.
Yeah, he looks like a caricature of an anarchist or something. You
I
know.
don't know. I can't place quite what he looks like to me or who he looks like,
Yeah.
but creepy as heck.
Yeah, he's when he's using hypnotism, his face floats over the panel and it's blue and
Yeah.
it's creepy looking.
Yeah. Ugh, he's just gross looking.
Yeah. Okay, so Ebony's ticked off that KO lost. So the spirit says, "Well, something's funny." So he leaves and finds these people meeting, and almost instantly, oh, this must be the guys, and it is. It's Mad Eye, or Evil Eye, excuse me, and Sailor's manager, and they're talking about how they fixed the fight. And here comes the spirit, and the spirit is going to well, let's go to the police station, and Evil Eye hypnotizes the spirit, and he puts him to sleep. So what are they going to do? They're going to they call this guy Lefty, who is an enemy of the spirit, to kill him,
Okay.
and somehow Dolan finds out. Forgot how.
I don't know. Maybe let's just say he stumbles upon it.
Yeah,
Okay.
stumbles upon him. So, and they see Evil Eye and everybody. And here comes KO beats the crap out of Evil Eye.
Yeah, he punches him through a door.
Yeah,
That's a great thing to have in comics.
yeah,
Punch a guy and they go through the door.
right.
With the door still on the hinges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Lefty Lewis comes here, and then he sees, oh, here's the cops. Hey, Evil Eye sold me out to the pigs.
Oh,
So he starts shooting at Evil Eye. Evil Eye wakes up the spirit who's been asleep all this time.
right, right.
So
And also, this is a weird trope in it for a superhero to be knocked out and somebody else take care of everything,
yeah.
and then just kind of be there for the wrap up.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. So the spirit wakes up and he goes after Lefty Lewis, and KO punches Lefty Lewis out, and yeah, everything's safe. So Evil Eye is going to get arrested by Dolan. Evil Eye puts his evil eye on Dolan, and for some reason, maybe because of the pipe or something, we see the pipe going up and down.
Maybe it kind of works.
Yeah, it messed him up. He died.
Yeah, weird. Oh, Evil Eye.
Evil Eye dies.
Didn't he get shot? Yeah, he got shot.
Yeah, I
in
guess
the
so.
first
Yeah.
panel on this page.
Mhm.
So, what did Ebony do? Because he's sick in bed or something.
I don't know if he did anything.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, he was listening to radio and told Spirit about the fight that was rigged.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got confused. Okay. Anyway,
Mhm.
so the last story before our break is called Manhunt, and this is great. Eisner did work on this one, and you can tell right away. Look at the splash panel.
Man,
It's great.
awesome.
Well, I'll give you a minute. In a minute, we'll discuss that for a moment. But written by Eisner, and pencils by Eisner and Lou Fine, which is great. Maybe it was inked by Lou Fine. I'm a little fuzzy on that. But this is from the Spirit section from May 2nd, 1943. And yeah, let's talk about this. Look at that splash panel. That's great.
It's a pipe that has the Spirit on there and it's
Logo, the Spirit logo.
Spoken. Yeah,
And it's like it's rainy and like it looks like it's kind of washing down.
Yeah.
It's awesome. This is trademark Eisner.
Yeah.
Like
It's
this
in the
is
sewers. In the
yeah.
sewers, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah. It is, man. That's wonderful.
yeah.
Okay, so we see Jason Broadway, a man about to die. I love that line. So, but he's a super nice guy and tips well. And he's walking by and he gets shot by Yellow Eyes. And let's see, here's a soldier who is he's hitchhiking. Hitchhiking soldiers were a thing back in during World War II. And
Army didn't spring to drive you home, I guess.
right,
It's just weird.
yeah. Well, it's hard to get home because they didn't have airplanes and
Right.
that would like now. So I mean, they had airlines with very little of them.
Okay.
So somebody pulls up to him and says, "Hey, you want a lift?" He says, "You bet, thanks a lot." And said, "Don't mention it." Then he shoots him.
And it was Yellow Eyes again.
Yeah,
What gives?
right.
What a jerk.
Indeed.
Why are you just killing all these
Yeah,
dudes?
2 murders, no motives. Men didn't know each other. Everybody liked them. That's a pretty cool setup for a mystery.
It is. And a pretty taut mystery with great relative level of suspense for, again, a 7 or 8 page story.
Yeah. So we got this little thing going on. Dolan wants to use a policeman's handbook to figure out stuff, and Spirit says you should use your own intelligence. And all right, what's going on now?
So this guy comes to Dolan's office and says, "Look, I know who the killer is because I'm next."
Right.
And so,
Because he's going out with a girl named Ruth Malone.
yeah.
And Ruth is kind of weird because sometimes she wouldn't talk to anybody and would pretend she didn't know who he was.
Yeah. But she used to go with Yellow Eyes, I think. Or Yellow Eyes just had a thing for her.
Yeah.
And didn't want anybody else to have her. So he's killing off her old boyfriends.
Yeah, so here's Ruth Malone's place. Somebody rings the doorbell, and it's Yellow Eyes.
Yeah.
So
Of course,
he
Ruth
takes
is
her.
lovely.
Mm-hmm. And yeah. There's a chase involved. Oh, he's choking her, which is a really powerful little panel
Ooh,
there.
yeah.
And
Yellow Eyes escapes. He jumps out the window.
mm-hmm.
Great panel there.
Yeah. He shoots Dolan,
Yeah,
shoots Spirit, and
just wings the Spirit.
yeah,
And
he's got his shoulders bare now.
yeah, but the Spirit follows Yellow Eyes down into the sewer, and Yellow Eyes empties his gun, and
Yeah,
then the Spirit, it's like, oh,
because the Spirit going 3, 4,
he's
5,
counting the
6.
shots,
Yeah.
which is great. There's a wonderful trope of detective fiction,
Mm-hmm.
hard-boiled stuff. And then the Spirit, they go splashing through a big old pipe. Spirit kicks the crap out of him, and it looks like Yellow Eyes drowns.
Yeah, which I'm not sad.
No, me either. The Spirit pulls himself out of the water, and his shirt's all tore up. He collapses next to Dolan, and then
Who is bleeding? We see blood.
Yeah. And then we cut to them both being in the hospital, which I love.
Yeah,
Uh,
and Spirit's talking about, well, you shouldn't have used a book, and Dolan's saying, yeah, I used a book. It stopped a bullet.
yeah.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, he had it in his pocket.
Yeah.
It kind of slowed the impact, and so
Yeah. This was nice. This was really well done. The story was interesting. The mystery was really good.
the best story that we've read for the episode so far, and that was Eisner.
Yeah.
The stuff that was ghosted by others, not bad, but
Yeah.
this is really standout.
It's above average Golden Age stories,
Yeah,
and I appreciate the Golden Age. It's very important. We wouldn't have comics without the Golden Age. But some of the story writing is very simple, and it's doesn't, and some of the art is kind of simple as well.
right. There's
But-
there's very large variance in quality in Golden Age art. I think as we get into the late 40s and the 50s, you're like, wow, there's a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is very standout. Excellent story.
Mhm. And some of the artwork in the ones, the earlier ones we read, weren't that great, but it's like, you're looking at what Michelangelo drew when he was 5 years old for his mom to put on the refrigerator. I mean, you see there's some really cool stuff coming out of here, and there's a lot of ideas he hasn't fleshed out yet,
Yeah,
and it's really awesome.
yeah. So we're going to take a quick promotional break, but don't go away, folks, because we'll be back with more Spirit. Stick around.
Stop and listen! Stop and listen to me! Listen! Listen! Listen to me! They're not human! Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
November 4th, 1988. Earth is invaded by an alien alliance composed of several species, including the Dominators, the Khunds, the Tanagarians, and the Durlans. And they want our superheroes. Even though Australia has been decimated, the United Nations response is unequivocal. Drop dead. First Strike, the Invasion podcast, takes you back to that moment in time and covers the entire Invasion DC Comics crossover, issue by issue, tie-in by tie-in. Join Bass and Siskoid at fireandwaterpodcast.com or on iTunes. First Strike, the Invasion podcast, a proud member of the Fire and Water Podcast Network. Remember, Albert.
Batman Nightcast, a thrilling new podcast from the Fire and Water Podcast Network, hosted by Ryan Daly
and Chris Franklin. Nightcast chronicles the Cape Crusaders' adventures in Batman and Detective Comics after Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Highlights from this legendary era include
Batman number 400,
Legends,
Mike Barr and Alan Davis,
Batman Year 1,
Batman Year 2,
Max Allan Collins,
ugh,
the new Jason Todd,
ugh,
Millennium,
you're not doing this right, let me take over, Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle.
Alan Grant from Jurassic Park.
Did you hear me say Norm freaking Brayfogle?
Oh yeah,
Son of the Demon,
The Killing Joke,
A Death in the Family,
Batman Year 3,
A Lonely Place of Dying,
Alan Grant, Alan Davis, Max Allan Collins. Why are there so many people named Alan from this era of Batman?
The Rise of Tim Drake,
Legends of the Dark Knight.
and that's just up until 1989.
Did anything exciting happen with Batman after that?
You'll have to tune in to find out.
Batman Nightcast, part of the Fire and Water Podcast Network.
Find it on iTunes and at fireandwaterpodcast.com.
Oh, we forgot to mention your favorite issue, when Batman fires Dick Grayson.
You want to find another co-host?
And we're back. So the next story we're going to talk about is called "Sign of the Octopus," and this is from the Spirit section from August 10th, 1947. It's the post-war years. Eisner is back on the strip, and boy, it is at the height of its quality. It is great.
I just had this realization that people in 1947 would open up their newspaper and bang, this would be in there.
Yeah,
That's just amazing.
and they probably not only got the Spirit section, with the comic book, they probably got their regular Sunday funnies with all their other adventure strips too. Like, wow.
Yeah, that's some cool stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, let's see. Let me get the credits for this one. This was written by Eisner, and penciled and inked by Will Eisner, with backgrounds done by Jerry Grandinetti. Jerry Grandinetti, I think we've talked about him a little bit before. He's a known quantity in comics. There's a weird thing about him. He had a strange medical condition that made him smell awful.
That shouldn't hurt in a comic book.
Right. But he was a family man. He had a wife and children and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird. I had never heard of that kind of disease.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. This is an anecdote shared by Joe Simon, who was Jack Kirby's old partner in the Golden Age. But in the 70s, there was Joe Simon and Jerry Grandinetti worked on a short-lived series at DC called Prez, a teenage president.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they did that book together, and it's pretty fun.
Okay.
But yeah, a weird thing about Jerry Grandinetti. I knew him. I was introduced to his work from. He worked at Warren Publishing in, I guess, the late Silver Age and the Bronze Age on Creepy and Eerie. He had some stories there.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah. An odd anecdote, but yes.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
but yeah, Sign of the Octopus. This is great.
Yeah. Great splash panel.
Oh man,
we just
the Spirit logo is treated like a wall, where the octopus's arm kind of like comes out of nowhere and hits the Spirit with a cane.
Yeah.
And we get a montage of just the octopus's gloved hands beating the crap out of the Spirit.
And
It's a fantasy sequence.
Yeah. And he's got a cane and he's got brass knuckles.
Yeah, and so the octopus was always great because you didn't see his face, you just saw his hands, and you knew it was him because his gloves had these 3 lines on each. So 5 fingers plus 3 makes 8. The octopus.
I'll be dang. Okay. Duh. So we had this wonderful series of panels that are...
They're done in
monochrome.
sepia, monochrome.
Yeah.
Like a baby blue.
Baby blue and a little bit of white.
Yeah.
And then the Spirit is waking up. He's getting water. And he's really hurt bad.
Oh, excuse me. It wasn't a fantasy sequence. He was getting beat up by an octopus.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay. And then he gets hit with a bat by this guy who's shown in yellow, and he's eating spaghetti. That really reminds me of Mad Magazine. For some reason.
Yeah.
But it's just really well
This is
done.
before Mad.
Yeah. But it looks like it.
Right, I totally get what you're saying. Eisner was an influence on Wally Wood, and much of the early Mad stuff, I should say Wood's humor stuff was really influenced by Eisner.
Yeah. Although you can probably fill a phone booth with the comic artists who are not influenced by Will Eisner.
Right.
I'm not sure they even exist.
Right. Even if it's not direct, everyone has influences, and Eisner is one of the most influenced. His influence, it ripples throughout the medium. So
yeah. So they're going after the octopus, and there's this guy Spiderweb who robs a bank, and he's got a bunch of money, and everybody's looking for it. And Commissioner Dolan has his boss, and his boss tells him to find the money. And it's really neat panel with Commissioner Dolan walking determinedly, and he's just a white background, and I don't know, it just works. It's wonderful.
There's a lot of really great Eisner really pioneered a lot of these very cinematic looking camera angles in comics.
Yeah. So he meets this young cop, Clink, and he explains the problem. So Clink says, "Well, I'll be suicide for anyone to find him." And so Dolan says, "Hey, well, what would you do?" And well, I would send somebody who's not smart enough to know how dangerous it is, and it's so unimportant that the Force could afford to lose him. So Dolan says, "Hey, that's a good idea. You're the volunteer."
And I love that. It's like that. I love Eisner's humor, but it's so human.
Yeah.
So I dig it. So Clink goes out, whatever.
Yeah, and he figures out where. Let's see. Oh, he's looking for clues, and one of the sergeants, "Hey, you forgot to sign these papers." "What papers?" "The last will and testament." "Oh." Okay, so
I love that the desk clerk gives him that.
Yeah.
So we cut back to the octopus, who has the spirit captive.
And Ebony.
Oh, that's right. And he's been kicking the crap out of the spirit. He's got his henchmen just laying into him.
Trying to find out where the money is.
And which money is this?
From Spider Webb, who ripped off a bank.
Oh, right.
Tons of money.
Okay.
So, Spirit gives up and says, "Hey, there's a safe in the junkyard, and here's the release Ebony. I'll tell you the combination." So they just kick Ebony out because he's blindfolded, so he won't even know where he was. But won't he find out when he takes the blindfold off?
Yeah, streets have signs on the corners.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're underestimating. Yeah, he's a kid, and yeah.
So Clink, the new cop, finds Ebony, and so Ebony tells him the story. So Clink is ready for the bad guy, and of course he gets knocked out.
So the information the spirit gave the octopus was false. There was a safe in a junkyard, and he finds it and just gets a snarky note, "Sucker."
Yeah.
What does the note say?
"Oh, you fell for an old one. Ta-ta, the spirit."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So the octopus is mad.
Yeah, so he has his big, fat, evil henchman beat up Clink.
Yeah.
The spirit wakes up, pours water on his back of his head, and then starts kicking butt.
Yeah.
And let's see, it's pretty cool. The minion's name is Crusher, which is great.
Yeah.
So I love Clink. He's so stupid looking.
Yeah.
And so Clink tries to go after the octopus. He grabs his cane, and then he's going to take a look at the octopus, and the octopus throws pepper in his eyes.
Ow.
Yeah. And then the octopus throws a grenade. Wow. A rather ineffective grenade because it doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Well, then, so they're back with Dolan. Dolan says, "Well, where's the money?" He says, "Oh, I had it all the time." So
Ebony had it. Which is crazy that they didn't search Ebony. Again, they just underestimated him, like, he's a kid, whatever.
Mhm.
So that's fun.
Yeah. So they call it Crusher. And Ebony's walking past a window, and he's robbed by the octopus.
He slits open the back of Ebony's jacket and takes the money.
And slams a window on Ebony's hand. And he puts a symbol of the octopus on the window.
Yeah, it's a smiley face with like 4 arms going out of it, which I think that's interesting.
Yeah. Not necessary, but interesting. So,
Yeah.
That's pretty dang cool, though.
Yeah. And that's the most closest to playing Ebony for comedic
Yeah.
relief or whatever. Yeah, a neat story. Yeah, the evil wins.
Yeah.
What?
Wow. Yeah. I like that. I mean.
Yeah, I mean the octopus was a wily adversary for the spirit.
Mhm. That's cool. I want to be able to call him.
Everyone has to have a Lex Luthor or Red Skull.
Yeah, it doesn't
you
have to be every time.
You need that nemesis. So yeah.
Don't overuse them, but yeah.
Yeah.
Too much and too little are both bad.
Right. But on to our next story. It's called Black Alley, and this is from the Spirit section dated June 5th, 1949. This one's written by Jules Pfeiffer with art by Will
Good
Eisner.
God.
You know Jules Pfeiffer?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Historian, cartoonist.
Mhm.
Pfeiffer worked for the Eisner shop and later was a cartoonist for the Village Voice. He wrote books, plays. Tremendous person. He's still alive. He also wrote the screenplay for the Popeye movie, 1980.
Which is the only film I like Robin Williams in.
Right.
Because Robin Williams is playing a character and he's not playing Robin Williams.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, Robin Williams is a fantastic talent, but
He drives you nuts. I get it.
yeah.
I think he's over the top way too much.
Yeah.
Um,
Popeye, he was great. And the
Sure.
original Popeye comics are wonderful.
Yes.
And the original animated ones, the older ones, with the sliding poop deck door,
Yeah.
are hilarious.
Yes.
and well done.
I watched them as a kid. I don't want to stay
Later
on
ones,
this.
not so much.
I don't want to stay on this tangent very much, but I need to revisit that movie. I mean, I love everything I've seen by Robert Altman, director.
Mhm.
I've
It's worth watching. Some of them are not as that good, but they're worth watching.
Yeah, and I think that's the last time he used Shelley Duvall, but he used her quite a bit in throughout the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
and which is a reason enough for me to go watch his movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, on to our story.
Man, okay, cool title splash panel. It's really
Oh yeah, I know it's a bird's eye view of a cityscape at a neat angle too.
yeah, huge long shadow of the spirit. We know that's got to be the spirit, but you can already tell. But
Yeah.
and it's nice. So, and this series of panels here, you see someone striking a match, lighting a cigarette, smoking it. And then you see him come out and with a gun, and there's a train behind him going clickety clack and all that.
Yeah,
It's just cool.
yeah. I mean, Eisner really developed this film noir comic book style that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you imagine watching? This is leagues ahead of like any animation at the time. Can you imagine a cartoon that looked like this? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm trying to imagine a cartoon that looks like this now.
yeah, or any other comic book in 1949 that looks this good.
I'm gonna go with any kind of book now that looks this good. I'm not. I think this might be the penultimate of comic book art.
It's pretty great. I don't want to oversell it too much, but it's
Yeah.
great stuff.
But yeah. This guy is smoking a cigarette and saying, "Tonight I killed the spirit." That's a mighty big job. I kind of like the character. It's sort of, well, he's got a job and he's not bragging about it, but he's got to do it. So.
Yeah,
So he looks back in what happened earlier that yesterday, and $50,000, which was an enormous sum at the time, and the 6 of the state's biggest operators, and pulled their dough for Operation Spirit. Just hilarious.
yeah,
And they hire this guy and to kill the spirit, which is kind of cool.
yeah.
So he calls the cops and say, "Hey, meet me at. Tell the spirit to meet me at Black Alley, apartment 3F." And which is wow. What if the spirit calls the cops on him? But I guess the spirit doesn't roll that way.
I guess not.
So he's waiting for him, and at 2:03, which is an odd time.
Right, but I like that it's so precise, and he thinks that the spirit's gonna be late, but no, he's right on time.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love
Mhm.
that.
And we see black when it says 2:03,
Yeah,
and then
spirit
the door opens.
Opens
and
the
you see-
door from a lit area into a dark room. He says, "Hello, anybody here?" Guns go off.
Mhm. And he closes the door. And so it's an old building, so every time you take a step, you creak. So every time Spirit steps, he gets shot at.
Oh,
So Spirit turns on the radio and makes a lot of sound so he can walk around.
That's very clever. The sound to cover his tracks.
Yeah. So the bad guy shoots the radio, and then the spirit comes up with the fisticuffs again.
Yeah. Well, because as soon as you shoot your gun and you're in a room, you can figure out where in the room you are.
Right.
Duh.
Yeah. His name is Freeze. Augie Freeze is the bad guy's name.
Yeah.
So he shoots the spirit, and he's shot again, and but he's only winged. So, but his gun is empty because the spirit is a gunshot counting kind of guy.
Yeah.
Which is a good.
I mean, he's a hard-boiled detective type of character. That's a trope of this type of fiction, which I don't mind at all.
Yeah. Augie Freeze runs and down railroad track. Like I guess
I love he's out running on the trestle because he's like outside, like it's like the L train running by. This is Central City, so it's not the New York L train, but it's like that.
Yeah, and people saying, "Look, a chase! It's a cop, the spirit!" And someone curses cops, and some people are pulling for the bad guy.
Yeah.
So let's see. They're fighting again. So the bad guys, the six operators, say, "Well, we haven't heard from them, so let's go see what went wrong." So they take the train.
Yeah.
They're fighting in front of the train. The train is coming, and the spirit saves Augie.
Yeah.
And the bad guys hear something that went wrong,
Yeah.
so they don't know what it was. Augie says, "Well, you saved my life. You could have left me on that track."
Yeah.
And the six bad guys come.
The Big Six.
Yeah. And they're ready to kill Augie because he failed.
Right.
But
Then the cops have the place surrounded, so it was great because they caught all those bad guys.
Yeah.
Did we mention it was the Big Six earlier?
Yes.
Okay. But that's right. They put the contract on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think how stupid of them to show up to the scene to make sure that it happened.
Yeah.
But boy, yeah, the cops busted them. What
And
a
they're pretty cool. Yeah, it says, "We shall be your executioners." And then the cop says, "Yeah, executioners. Yeah, it's really secluded here." And Dolan says, "Yeah, go ahead. Nobody's looking." And so that was,
I love that.
yeah, that's a funny gag, and it works.
Yeah, no, this is terrific.
Yeah.
Uh,
So there's an anonymous tip, and to Dolan. That's how he found out. And I guess Augie Freeze. What happened to him? I wonder. I guess we don't
I mean,
know.
he still attempted murder.
That's true.
So, I mean, he got to live, but he probably went up the river.
Yeah. But we got Dawn of the City.
Oh, that's a cool image too.
Mm-hmm.
And just in the second to last panel, we get the spirit and Dolan just kind of smiling and walking off.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yep. And he's happy because he got the Big Six.
Yeah. So, oh boy, the next two stories are a two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks back to back, and this is great. This is introducing probably the greatest of the Spirit's several great femme fatales, Sans Serif.
Yeah. And it's a great name too.
Oh yeah, it's punny and the Spirit is big on those types of characters. Yeah, the story is called Sans Serif. This is from the Spirit section from January 8th, 1950. And this story was written and draughted by Will Eisner.
Yeah.
Great splash panel again. Ebony is out. I guess he's off to college or whatever. And we have the Spirit's new companion, his young Caucasian kid friend, Sammy.
Beating the crap out of Dolan and Chuckers.
Yeah.
And I love the way they put Spirit over the.
What is that? The police? It's like a.
It usually says police station's a globe.
Yeah.
But it says the Spirit.
Yeah, I like that. I like how closely he works with the police.
Yeah. Usually no trouble at all, except for the first time they considered him a murderer. But
Well, that was the first story that we read for today. Yeah.
yeah. So there is a patrolman Fisk failed to report to his relief, so he's missing. So they're waiting for word what happened to him. So
Okay.
there's a phone call to Dolan, and they're off. So there's a clue around here, and
What was the nature of the phone call?
they found some clues. Oh, they found him. He's shot in the chest, and Fisk.
Mm.
And let's see, Spirit finds a clue and he runs off with it. And the clue is Sans Seraph. And
Sans Seraph. This is great because we're getting it like into the past life of Denny Colt, the young life of Denny Colt. Someone he knew from childhood.
Yeah. He was living with his uncle, who was a cop.
Because I guess
No,
he
no,
was.
at the time. Oh, he was a has-been fighter. He's kind of not too bright, I guess.
Yeah.
And his her father was a cop, and who kept Spirit's uncle out of trouble.
Right. Now, the Spirit, I guess, was an orphan then?
I guess.
I
don't know. Okay. So, let's see. So, someone shoots and is beating up his uncle, and the cop comes, and he is killed. And his uncle feels so bad he kills himself. Man, that's a downer
Yeah.
for the local newspapers.
Right?
Yeah. Sand is really angry and hates cops, hates Denny's uncle, and turns to the bad side. So we have these little things of she's stealing some jewelry, and Denny takes the rap for it
Yeah.
and gets beaten up by the cops, in fact,
Yeah.
which is what they did back then.
Sure.
Sand is kind of still ticked off about it. Later on, Denny sees her with this really bad guy,
Yeah.
and
He tries to
saves
look
her.
out for her, and she's just like, "Get away from me! I don't want you in my life." But
Yeah, so yeah, and it goes on like that. So
fast forward to adulthood.
yeah, Burley in 1939.
She's trading marriage and playing people, to just
with the
move,
Nazis.
to move up socially.
Yeah, she
No loyalty to anyone.
her husband is arrested by the Nazis, and she marries the Nazi colonel, whatever. Then he's a Gauleiter, which is a Nazi leader. So she shoots him to get in good with the French resistance, and then delivers some Nazi harbored plan at Trieste and to the British, and she says, "Okay, just give me the money and I'm off." And then we see some things. She's with an Arab chief and a Hindu prince, and it's pretty cool. It's a mysterious woman of adventure.
Yeah. But later she crosses paths again with Denny, who is now the Spirit.
Yeah.
Their lives constantly end up intersecting.
This is the first time they intersect.
Again.
Yeah, as a spirit.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting
okay,
at.
Okay.
So, but we are left on kind of a cliffhanger. This is just the Spirit's remembrances of Sand.
Yeah.
Um,
And knew that Fisk was shot by Sand or her minions.
Right. So, on to part 2 of the story, Bring in Sans Seraph. This is from the Spirit section of January 15th, 1950. Written and drawn by Will Eisner. Great splash panel.
Fantastic. He's just looking at a nasty old harbor.
Yeah.
But that's really, really cool. All right. So they're at the hospital, Dolan and the Spirit, waiting on to see if Fisk lives. And they find out that Fisk wakes up, says there's a lady and 2 men, man with glasses shot him. So at the city, let's see, it looks like they're digging a big leaden box.
Yeah.
And Spirit needs to get a map of the city harbor, and he figures out what's going on. Looks like there was a Liberty ship that was sunk there, and it had some
What is a Liberty
Nazis.
ship?
Liberty ship is just a cargo ship that was just put out like Ford motor cars. I mean, they're just made really, really quick. There are thousands of them. There's only about one or two left now because they're really badly made. Sometimes they just fall apart in the ocean. So, a Nazi-German warfare tank containing a deadly virus, and that's what they're digging out.
Damn.
So now we go to somewhere else, and this guy is putting some kind of powder in a jar with a mouse or rat in it.
Gross.
And the rat dies out in 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
So we finally see Sand, all grown up. And we're getting, she's talking to some, a poor little country representatives. I think it's his lead. We don't know what country it is, but he's the leader. And he pays Sand $1 million.
Wow.
And he wants to be married to her. And Sand has this wonderful look, meh, no thanks. And she kicks him out.
Yes.
So she gives $20,000 to one of the guys, and she says, "Hey, I got $70,000." I said, "No, yes, but less $50,000 to the widow of the cop you shot last night," which is really cool.
Villains with a code of honor.
Yep.
I like it. Even she's pretty ruthless and cutthroat, but I mean, like innocence, no. She wants to climb the ladder. She doesn't care if you hurt men, but
yeah, and she's gonna. This guy is angry, but we found out his name is Dr. Vitriol.
I love that. That's so fun.
Yeah, and so she's about to. Hey, I'll just kill you if you make any more trouble. And she leaves, gives what's his name, Sammy, a letter that contains the $50,000.
Yeah.
And so Sammy tells the spirit goes to the hotel room. They're looking around. They see the dead rat, which is a big clue. So they figure out that that's what's called. But the two bad guys are still there. I don't know why they didn't leave.
Reasons. They needed to be around just for the spirit to kick their butts.
Yep. So the spirit gets shot again, and he falls down the stairs, which is kind of cool looking. So, and he's chasing, and he finds out, I guess, where Sand's going to be at.
Yeah. So they're at the dock. She's on the pier. She's going to bail and leave the country.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Vitriol wants more of the money, I think, or something like that, right?
And Spirit is sneaking up out of the water behind Dr. Vitriol, and Vitriol sees him and shoots him.
Yeah.
And we see him, the Spirit, he's hanging with a rope, and he swings on the dock and beats the crap out of Dr. Vitriol. Sand, the leader of the unknown country is about to shoot Spirit. Sand knocks him in the neck with his hand and knocks him out. And Sand recognizes Danny Colt.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Lois Lane ought to take some lessons from her. And it's sort of...
This is pointing out, like, the obvious thing, like, glasses or a domino mask aren't going to really disguise your identity very much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. But it's pretty cool. So
they have a tender moment, but she's like, I'm getting the heck out of here, and he's not really in a position to stop her.
She could, but all all I asked is a 5-minute handicap, and he gives it to her.
Yeah.
He could stop her if he wanted to, but he lets her go.
Yeah.
And
he loves her.
Yeah.
He cares about her.
Yeah.
They share a kiss.
Mm-hmm.
She is a tearful goodbye, and she bails. Again, bad guys win.
Yeah.
But still, the spirit comes across noble.
Yeah. And Sammy winks at the audience.
Yeah.
Which is, you know what's going on.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
So, Spirit kind of explains things away to Dolan.
He doesn't really... who's in there? Oh, forget it, Dolan. Forget it.
What? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But overall, really great collection of stories.
This. Yeah. Careful with that box. It's full of germs.
Yeah.
They get the the germ warfare back, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, pretty neat.
It's wonderful. It's just some of the greatest artwork ever, and the comic book. And I don't know, it's just simply wonderful and clever and well done.
This is real art.
Mm-hmm.
You know, comic books have been viewed as low art for a long time, but anything Eisner does is high art.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't care who disagrees with.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Comic Reflections is recorded in Portland, Oregon, and produced by Sean Roof. Until next time.
we'll see you in the funny pages.
Xenozoic Xenophiles.
A fan podcast devoted to the comic series Xenozoic Tales.
It's a post-apocalyptic adventure series filled with Cadillacs and dinosaurs.
I'm Ruth.
And I'm Darren.
We hope you'll join us as we discuss the stories, characters, and art in this excellent comic series from creator, writer, and artist Mark Schultz.
Xenozoic Xenophiles is available at podbean.com and on iTunes and Stitcher.
And find us at xenozoicxenophiles.com.
Warlord Worlds, a fan podcast devoted to the comic creations of Mike Grell, including Warlord, John Sable, Starslayer, Shaman's Tears, and Green Arrow. I'm Darren.
And I'm Ruth. We hope you'll join us as we discuss the stories, characters, and art in the many excellent comics from writer and artist Mike Grell.
Warlord Worlds is available at podbean.com and on iTunes and Stitcher.
Find us at warlordworlds.com.